Hello everyone and welcome to this course. In this course you will learn to integrate ChatGPT in Flutter for building powerful chatbots for both Android and iOS. ChatGPT is a powerful technology which can perform number of tasks with great accuracy. Like it can answer your questions, write essays, generate images, convert and translate audios, write and debug your code, explain images, and perform other such tasks. In this course, we are going to use the features of ChatGPT in Flutter to build custom chatbots and assistant applications. So this is the application which we are going to build, and inside it you can simply write your questions or ask them using voice commands. Tell me the name of top 5 cars. And after getting the response, you can read it or listen to it.
The top cars can vary greatly depending on the criteria, such as performance, sales, reliability.
So it means that we are going to implement both speech to text and text to speak feature inside our chatbot application. After that, you will perform image generation in Flutter using the DALL 3 model. So this is the latest model of OpenAI which can generate realistic images from text. So inside this section, you will learn to generate multiple images at once and download them inside your Flutter applications. Apart from that, you can also send images to ChatGPT and ask questions about them. And after images, you will learn to use audio models of OpenAI inside Flutter. So you can select audio files and they will be converted into text. Similarly, you can also translate audio files into different languages. So after completing this course, you will be able to use different AI models of ChatGPT and OpenAI inside Flutter. You can build custom chatbots and assistants for both Android and iOS. And you will be able to enhance ChatGPT by combining it with other features inside Flutter. So what are you waiting for? Join the course now and start building AI-powered custom chatbot applications. So what is Flutter? It is an open source framework developed by Google for building mobile, desktop and web applications. In software development, a framework is just like a toolkit for building applications. Imagine it as a recipe for baking a cake. So as recipe gives you the basic steps and ingredients needed to make a cake, the same way Flutter provides the essential tools and resources such as ready-made components and libraries to help you build applications quickly and easily. So a question arises, why should we use Flutter? And the answer is Flutter is cross-platform. So what does that mean? So it means that when you write code in Flutter, the same code can generate Android, iOS, web, macOS and Windows application for you. So you don't need to use different technologies to build applications for all these platforms. You can just learn Flutter and build applications for all these platforms using a single code file. Flutter is one of the most popular technologies for building applications in today's world. Some popular applications built in Flutter includes Alibaba application, eBay Motors, Google Ads, Google Pay, Toyota and so on. And inside this course, we are going to use Flutter for building AI-powered smart applications. So let's begin. So now let's start by setting up the environment for Flutter app development. And for this purpose, we need to download Flutter SDK, which is Flutter Software Development Kit, and we need to put it inside our system. And to do that, you need to open your browser, and here you can search for Flutter SDK. And there you can see the results, and the first link is this flutter.dev. So click on it and the home page for Flutter will be opened. and there you can read about different features which Flutter provides. But you can see this Get Started button at the top right corner, so we are going to click here and it will gonna take us to this page where we can select our platform. So as we are using Windows, so select it, and after that it will gonna ask you that for which particular platform you want to build applications. So for now we are going to select Android here, and then you can see this section, and here firstly you can read the minimum hardware requirements, like the minimum CPU cores should be 4 and the RAM should be 8. Apart from that, the resolution will be this one, and you should have minimum 11 GB space inside your system. But these requirements are generally met for all the systems. So after looking at them, you can scroll down and there you will find this section to download and install Flutter. And here you can see this Flutter Windows stable.zip. So you need to download this zip file and it contains Flutter SDK. And then we are going to put it inside our system. So firstly click on it and it will gonna start downloading Flutter SDK for us. Like there you can see this download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the zip file is downloaded and we need to firstly unzip it. So here we are going to extract it using WinRAR, but you can use any extraction software. So now the extraction is completed and we got this folder, and inside this folder you can see we got this Flutter folder, and this Flutter folder contains Flutter software development kit. So we are going to put it inside our Windows directory, although it is not necessary and you can put it anywhere, but we are going to select Windows directory. So simply cut it from here and go inside C drive, and here we are simply going to paste it. So now after putting this folder here, we have added Flutter SDK inside our system. But at this point, this Flutter SDK can only be accessed from this Flutter folder. So it means that we cannot access it outside of this Flutter folder. Like here in the search field, if I will type cmd, then it will gonna open command prompt for me. And then if I will type the command Flutter Doctor, and this command is used to analyze Flutter which is installed inside your system. So if I will type it and press enter, you can see it is not recognizing Flutter as a command. So it means that we cannot access Flutter from here, from this C drive. But if I will open this Flutter folder and then go inside bin, and here I will open cmd again, so type cmd. And now here if I will type the same command which is this Flutter Doctor and press enter, now you can see it returned this output that Flutter version 3.22.3 is installed inside our system, and apart from that it has returned some other information as well. But now to access Flutter from anywhere inside our computer, we need to set environment variable, and to do that you can simply right click on this PC and go to properties, and here select this advanced system settings and then select this environment variables. And now here we need to add the path of our Flutter bin folder to access it from anywhere inside our computer. And you can directly type environment variable here and you will be able to see this window, and then you can open environment variables. So now we need to open our Flutter folder and then inside it go to bin. After that copy the path of this Flutter bin and then open this environment variable window. And here in the system variables you need to find the key which is path, and if there is no variable with the name path, then you can add a new variable, and here you can specify the variable name to path, and then in the value you can simply paste the path of bin folder which we copied. But in our case we already got this path here, so I will gonna double click, and now here I will gonna add the path which we copied. So there you can see C, Flutter and bin. After that press OK and then press OK again. And now we are going to close this window. And after doing that we will go inside our C drive and then open cmd again. And here we are going to type this Flutter Doctor command. Now press enter and you can see the same detail here, so it means that Flutter is set up successfully inside our system, and now we can access Flutter from anywhere inside our Windows PC. So now after setting up Flutter, the next step is installing Android Studio. So at this point we have set up Flutter SDK inside our system. But now to develop Flutter applications we need to install some IDE like Android Studio or Visual Studio where we are going to write the code for building our Flutter applications. So as we are going to use Android Studio, so we need to firstly install it. And here when we are running Flutter Doctor we are getting a lot of information. And this information is about the status of Flutter inside our system. Like you can notice that Flutter is successfully installed inside our system and we got this green tick. But here you can notice that for Android Studio we got this warning that it is not installed. So now the next step is installing Android Studio. And to do that you need to open your browser and then you can search for Android Studio. And here you can see the results. So open this first link, which is this developer.android.com studio. And now here you can simply download latest version of Android by clicking on this download Android Studio button. And here you need to firstly accept their terms and then click on this download button and our Android Studio will gonna start downloading. And there you can see the download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the download is completed and we got this Android Studio.exe file. So now to install Android Studio, double click on it and it will gonna open the setup for Android Studio installation. And there you can see the setup for Android Studio. So click next and then select the location where you want to install Android Studio. So I will gonna keep the default location, then press next and then click on this install button and the installation will gonna start. So here the setup is completed, so press next and then finally click finish and it will gonna launch Android Studio for us. So there you can see it is firstly asking that whether we want to import some settings or not. So we will gonna select do not import setting, then press OK. And after that you will see this window, so press next and then you need to select the install type. So you got this standard and custom option, so we will go with standard. And after that it will gonna download these tools which will be required inside Android Studio. So press next and then you need to click accept here and after that accept these licenses as well. Now press finish and it will gonna start downloading those tools for us. And once those tools are downloaded, they will be included inside Android Studio and later they will be used while building our mobile applications. So now let's wait for these files to be downloaded. So now all the components are downloaded, so click finish. And then you will see this window and here you can create a new project inside Android Studio or open an existing one. But to create a new Flutter project there is a separate button with the title New Flutter Project and it is not there. And the reason is right now we have just installed Android Studio and we did not set up Flutter inside Android Studio. And to do that you need to go to plugins and there you need to install two plugins inside Android Studio. So the first plugin which you need to install is called Dart and Dart is the official language for Flutter. So you need to install Dart plugin inside Android Studio. So there you can see this plugin, so click install and this plugin will be installed in just a second. And there you can see this plugin is installed. And the second plugin which we need is called Flutter. So you can search for Flutter here, but in our case we can already see it here. So click on install and this plugin will also be installed. And there you can see this plugin is installed and now it requires us to restart Android Studio. So click on this restart IDE button and then press this restart. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted and we got this new Flutter project button here. So it means that Android Studio is successfully installed and Flutter is successfully configured inside Android Studio. And now if you will gonna open command prompt and write the same Flutter Doctor command here, you will be able to see the warning for Android Studio is gone. So there you can see now the warning for Android Studio is gone and the only issue we have is regarding Android toolchains and we are also going to correct them. So to resolve this first issue, you need to install command line tools for Android Studio. So open Android Studio, and here you can go to more actions and then click on this SDK manager. And now here you can go to SDK tools and select this Android SDK command line tools. And after that click apply, and this tool will be downloaded and added inside Android Studio. So press OK, and this download is started. So let's wait for this download to be completed, and after that this warning will be gone from Flutter Doctor. So now these tools are downloaded, so click finish, and after that click apply. Now press OK, and this window will be closed. And after doing that, let's run Flutter Doctor again. And there you can see, now upon running this command we did not get any error. There is only one warning, and that is about Android licenses. So this command line tools error is now gone. So now to resolve this final warning, you need to run this command inside your command prompt. So you can simply copy this command, and after that you can paste it here inside CMD. Now press enter. And there you can see it wants us to review licenses that has not been accepted. And here we are going to pass Y because we want to accept them. And after that pass Y here as well. And then again type Y. And there you can see after accepting multiple times we got this all SDK package licenses accepted. So now after that if we will run Flutter Doctor again, now you can see everything is set up correctly, so we did not get any error or any warning. So it means that we are ready to develop our Flutter applications. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, you will learn to create an Android virtual device inside Android Studio. So an Android emulator or an Android virtual device is the replica of a real Android device which will be running on your Windows PC. So basically we are going to open an Android phone here on screen, and later we are going to install our applications on that device for testing it. So how we can create these Android emulators inside Android Studio? So to create this emulator you need to click on this more actions and then go to this virtual device manager. And if you are using some older version of Android Studio, then you will find this option for Android virtual device. So once you will click there, you will see this option for creating a virtual device. So click on it, and then here you need to select the device which you want to create. Like you can create different phones, tablets, Wear OS, desktop, TV, automotive, and so on. So as phone is selected, so we can see the list of available devices. So you can select any device that you like. Like I will gonna select this Pixel 7 Pro and then press next. And here you need to select the Android version which you want to install on that particular device. So for now, as the stable version is Android 14, so we are going to download this Android 14. And to do that, you can simply click on this download button, and this download will gonna start. And once this download is completed, after that our Android emulator will be ready. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the Android version is downloaded, so click finish, and after that you can select the downloaded version here which is Android 14 and then press next, and here you can select the orientation of your device and then click finish, and our new Android emulator will be created. And there you can see this emulator. And now to launch it you can simply click on this run button. So now the emulator which we just created is launched, and you can see this Android device here, and it has a lot of functionality which is similar to your real Android device. And while building our mobile applications, we can install Android applications on this device and then we can test them. And we are going to do this thing later inside our course. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up the environment for Flutter app development. and we are going to do that on Mac operating system. And if you have a Windows, then you can follow the other lecture where we are going to do the environment setup on Windows operating system. And if you already got Flutter and Android Studio set up on your Mac, then you can skip this section and proceed to the next one. But now we are going to start setting up the environment. And the first step is installing or adding Flutter SDK inside our MacBook. So to do that, you can open your favorite browser and there type Flutter. After that, press enter and you will see this first result, which is this www.flutter.dev. So click on this link and the documentation page for Flutter will be opened. And here you can read about the features of Flutter. But we are going to click on this get started button and we will be moved to this screen where we need to select our operating system. So as we got a Mac, so we will select this Mac OS and it will gonna show us this option. And here for now we are going to select iOS, so just select it and it will gonna show us the instructions to do the setup of Flutter on Mac OS. So here you can firstly scroll down and go to the section install the Flutter SDK, and there in the download and install section you will find these two options. So if you got a Mac which has an Intel chip, then you can select this one, and if you got the latest Mac with M1, M2 or M3 chip, then you can download this zip file. So as I got a Mac with an Intel chip, so I will gonna download this one, so click on it and the download will gonna start. So now let's wait for this download to be completed and then we are going to add this SDK inside our MacBook. So now the zip file is downloaded and I got it here. And now we need to put this zip file or this SDK somewhere inside our Mac, and then we need to tell Mac that this is the Flutter SDK and using it we are going to develop Flutter applications. So how we are going to do that? So to do that, open the documentation page again, and here below these download buttons we got some instructions. So there you can see the second instruction is creating a folder where you can install Flutter, and they recommend that inside our home directory we will create a folder with the name development. So what we are going to do is to open our Finder and then we are going to navigate to our home folder. And there we are going to create a new folder. So select new folder here and then name it development. After that, inside this folder we need to extract that zip file. So there you can see I got it here on desktop. So what I can do is to drag it inside this folder and then I am going to double tap it to uncompress it. And there you can see we got this Flutter folder. And after getting this Flutter folder you can delete this zip file. So let's delete it and that's it. So now we got this Flutter folder inside our development folder. So now after doing that, open the documentation page and there the next step is adding Flutter to your path. So at this point we have completed these three steps. So firstly we downloaded the SDK and then we created the development folder, and inside it we have put or extracted that zip file. And after that we need to add Flutter to our path. So to run Flutter commands in the terminal, add Flutter to the path environment variables. And to do that, we need to open this file named as zshenv, or there are chances that inside your Mac this file is present with the name zhsrc. So you need to open this file and then inside this file you need to put this path at the end of this file and then you need to save that file. And after that the path of Flutter SDK will be added inside our environment variables. So to do that, you need to firstly check that whether this zshenv file is present or not. And to do that, you can open the terminal, and inside terminal we are right now inside our home folder. So here you need to execute this command ls space al. So press enter and you will be able to see all the files present inside our home. And there you can see I got this ZSHRC file. So in your case you will gonna get this file, or you may have this ZSHENV file. So as I got this file, so I am going to open it, and to open it we are going to write the command open, and then we need to type the file name, which is ZSHRC, and in your case it will be ZSHENV if you got this ENV file. So press enter. So you can see this .zsh file is opened, and now inside this file we need to put this path. So you can simply copy this path, and when you will look at it, it is pointing to our development folder, and then inside development we got Flutter, and inside this Flutter we got this bin folder. And if in your case you have put this Flutter folder somewhere else, then you need to specify that path here. But in our case we got it in the home folder, so this is the path which we are going to use. So just simply copy it and then open the file, and after that at the end of this file simply paste it. Now press Command S and this file will be saved, and after saving the file just simply close it, and then you can also close this terminal. And now you need to open the terminal again, and here to confirm that Flutter is installed successfully or not, you need to execute a command flutter version. So enter this command and press enter. And you can see this information here. So I got Flutter version 3.16.9, and this is the version which I just installed. So if after running this command you got this information, then it means that you have successfully added Flutter SDK inside your Mac, and Flutter is also added inside your environment variables. So now we can access Flutter from command lines. So now after installing the Flutter SDK, the next step is setting up the Android Studio, because using Android Studio we are going to build our Flutter applications. So in order to install Android Studio, inside your browser type Android Studio and press enter. And there you can see the results. So open this first link, developer.android.com studio. And there you can see this page, and here you will gonna get this download Android Studio button, and this is the latest version of Android Studio available in March 2024. So just click on it and it will gonna show you this agreement screen. So click on this check mark, and then if you got a Mac with Intel chip, then click on this download button, and if you got an Apple chip, then download this one. So as I got this Intel chip, so I will gonna click on it, and there you can see the download started. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the download of Android Studio is completed, and we got this DMG file here. So just simply double tap on it and it will gonna show you this window. So here move this Android Studio inside application folder, and after that open this launchpad, and here you will be able to find Android Studio. So just simply click on it, and then you will get this pop-up. So simply click on this don't send button, and then you will get this welcome Android Studio screen. So here simply click on this next button, and then you can select the standard or custom type. So if you will select custom, then you can customize installation settings and components installed, but we will go with this standard. So then click next, and here you will find some SDK components and tools which need to be downloaded. So click next, and then you need to agree for these license. So click on this accept button, and then click on this Android SDK ARM and click on accept as well. Then click finish, and these components will gonna start downloading, and once they finish our Android Studio will be ready. So there you can see these components are being downloaded, and it will gonna take some time. So now all the components are downloaded, so click on this finish button and Android Studio will be opened. But at this point inside Android Studio, we cannot create a Flutter project. And to create a Flutter project, we need to install Flutter plugin. So in the side pane, click on plugins and then search for Flutter. So Flutter. And there you can see the result. So the first result is this Flutter plugin. So just click on this install, and it will gonna ask you to accept these conditions. So just accept it. And there you can see the Flutter plugin is installed and it is asking to restart IDE. So click on this button and our Android Studio will be restarted. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted, and now we got this new Flutter project button, and earlier this button was not there. So it means that now inside Android Studio we can create a Flutter project. So now at this point inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project, and then we can run that Flutter project on Android device. But we cannot run that Flutter project on iOS, because for iOS we need to install another software called Xcode, and then by combining this Android Studio and Xcode we will be able to run Flutter applications on iOS and Mac devices. So the next step is installing Xcode inside our MacBook. You need to open App Store inside your Mac. So inside Launchpad search for App Store and you will find it here. And now inside App Store simply search for Xcode. After that press enter and you will see this first result. So this is the software which we are going to download. So you can click on it and its home page will be opened. So now you can simply click on this get button and then click on the install button, and this software will gonna start downloading, and once you will gonna download it, it will gonna show you an open button here. So once Xcode will be installed, you will be able to see this open button, and upon clicking on it, Xcode will be opened. Or you can also check Launchpad and there you will also find Xcode icon. So just click on it and it will be launched in just a second. So when for the first time it will be opened, it will gonna ask you to agree with these terms and conditions. And there you need to provide the password of your Mac to agree with them. And then you will see this window, and here you can select the devices for which you want to develop the applications. So by default macOS and iOS will be selected, so you can just select both of these and then click on install button and it will gonna install some additional components. And once that process is finished, you will see this what's new in Xcode window. So here you can simply click on continue button and you will be able to see this window for Xcode. So once Xcode is installed and it is launched, you will be able to see a window similar to this one. And here you can create a new project in Xcode, or you can open an existing project. So after installing Xcode, you need to click on this Xcode button in the top left corner, and then you can click on this preferences. And here you need to go to this location tab, and then you need to select a value inside this command line tools. So by default there will not be any value selected here. So you can click on this drop down and you will be able to see the name and version of your Xcode. So just simply select it and we are all set to build iOS applications inside Flutter. So just close this window and then open Android Studio. And now inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project, and then we can also run this project inside Android and iOS. So let's start by creating a new Flutter project. So click on this new Flutter project button, and here in the side pane you need to select Flutter because we want to create a new Flutter project. Then click next, and here you need to assign a name to your project. Like I will gonna name it as first app. And then you can select your project location here. So by default the studio project folder will be selected and it is created by Android Studio. And then we got the language selection here. So we will gonna use Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. And after doing that you can select the platforms. Like if you want to build this application only for Android and iOS, then you can uncheck this Linux, macOS, web and Windows. And if you want to build it for all of these platforms, then keep them selected and click on this create button so that our new Flutter project will be created. And there you can see our new Flutter project is created, and as it's our first project, so it will gonna download few files. So let's wait for these files or packages to be downloaded. So now the files are downloaded and our Flutter project is ready. So when we create a new Flutter project, by default it provides us a counter application. So now firstly we are going to install this counter application inside an Android device or inside an Android emulator, and then we are also going to install it inside an iOS simulator. So firstly, we are going to install the starter application inside an iOS simulator, and then we are also going to install it inside an Android emulator. So to open an Android simulator here, you can click on this drop down and you will see this option Open iOS Simulator. So just click on it and it will gonna launch this simulator here. So there you can see a simulator or a clone for iPhone 14 Pro Max is opened, and it will gonna take few seconds and then it will be ready. And after that we are going to install the starter application inside this iOS simulator. And there you can see the iOS simulator is ready. And now to install our application on this iOS simulator, what we can do is to select it here in this drop down, and there you can see it is already selected. So after selecting it, click on this run main.dart and our application will be installed inside this iOS simulator in few seconds. And there you can see our application is installed inside this iOS simulator. So this is the default counter application provided by Flutter. And here when you will click on this button, this count will gonna increase. So now we have successfully set up Flutter in macOS, and then we have also created a new Flutter project, and we are able to install this Flutter project inside an iOS simulator. And now the next step is installing this starter application inside an Android emulator. So to install the starter application inside an Android device, you can either connect your mobile with this MacBook or you can create an Android emulator. So here let's minimize the simulator and then click on this device manager icon. And there you can see a default Android emulator created by me. But in your case, you might not see anything here but a create Android emulator button. So upon clicking on this button, you will see a dialog similar to this one. And here you can select the device for which you want to create an emulator. Like we are going to select Pixel 7 and then click next. And there you will be able to see the list of Android versions. So here you can select the latest version or the versions you like. Like we are going to select this Android 14. So just select it and then click on this download button. So before creating an Android emulator containing Android 14, we need to download the zip file for Android 14. And there you can see this download started. So now we need to wait for this download to be completed, and then we are going to create an Android emulator and install our application inside it. So now the downloading process is finished, so just click on this finish button, and after that you can see this Android version which is currently downloaded inside your macOS. So just simply select it and then click next, and after that you can select the orientation of the device and then click finish and our Android emulator will be created. So there you can see after creating it, we got this Pixel 7 which is containing Android 14. So to launch this Android emulator, click on this run button, and after that minimize this bottom box and also minimize this top box so that we can see the emulator here clearly, and it will be there in just a second. And there you can see the emulator is started and you can see the basic interface of this particular Android device. So once it is ready, you can simply select it from this drop down. So there you can see this Pixel 7, so just select it. And after that, we are going to install the application inside this Android emulator. So now our application is installed inside this Android emulator. So let's increase its size so that we can see things clearly. And here, upon click on this button, this count is increasing. So let's start building our first AI and ChatGPT powered application. And to do that, open your Android Studio and click on this new Flutter project button. Here press next and then select or type your application name. So I will gonna name it like ChatGPT. And then you can select your project location here and make sure that Android and iOS here is enabled. Then click create and our new Flutter project will be created. So our new Flutter project is created and you can see this main .dart file here. So this is the file which contains the code for our starting application. So let's firstly install this application inside an Android emulator or inside an iOS emulator, and after that we will gonna start building our ChatGPT application. So to install this application inside an Android emulator, you can go to Device Manager and there you can launch the emulator which we created earlier. Similarly, if you are on a Mac, you can also open iOS simulator by selecting the option here, and then you can install the application inside it. So the emulator is opened and you can see this option in this drop down. So select this emulator and click on this run button and our application will be opened inside it. So our application is installed and you can see this default counter application on screen. So here user can click on this icon and this count will gonna increase. So this is the counter application which we get when we create a new Flutter project. And now we are going to start building our ChatGPT application. And we are going to start by creating a very simple GUI for our ChatGPT application. So in the GUI we are going to add a text field or a view where user can enter his question. After that we are going to add a button so that user can click on this button and we are going to send user question to ChatGPT. And finally we are going to add a text widget here, and in that text widget we are going to display the response of ChatGPT. So this will be the simple GUI which we are going to create. And to do that we are going to make changes inside this main .dart. So when we create a new Flutter project, you can see the structure here. So here in the lib folder the code of our application is present. So you can see we got this main .dart here. So now inside this main .dart we are going to make the changes. So inside this main .dart, if you will scroll down, you will find this my homepage class. So this class is responsible for displaying this counter application to the user on screen. So now we don't want to display this counter application, so we are going to replace this class. And to do that, inside this lib folder we are going to create a new dot file, and inside that dot file we are going to create another class for our chat application. So here go to new and select this dot file. Now we can name this dot file as our chat screen. So press enter and this new dot file is created. After that inside it we need to create a new class, and that class will be similar to this my home page. So here you can see this my home page is extending this stateful widget. So we need to create a similar class here inside this chat screen. So to create a stateful widget you can write stf and you will see this option to create new stateful widget. So simply select it and this code will be added. And here you can assign a name to this class, so we can name it as chat screen. And now you can see this class is created, and at the moment in this class we got couple of errors, and the reason is we did not edit any import. So click on this first error and then import this library, and now you can see the errors are gone. So now after creating this chat screen inside our main .dart, we can simply minimize this my home page and the class below it, and we can simply remove them because we don't need them anymore. And we are using this my home page here, so we can replace this my home page with our chat screen. So I will gonna replace it with chat screen. So here you can see this option, so simply select it and then add these two parentheses. So now inside our application we are going to display the content of this chat screen instead of that my home page class. And at the top you can see the import for this chat screen is also added. So after doing that, if you will click on this run main.dart, you can see the GUI here is changed, and the reason is right now we are displaying the content of this chat screen, and this chat screen is only displaying a placeholder to the user on screen. So this is a view for placeholder, but now we are going to change it. So here inside our build method we are going to add the GUI related code. So in Flutter all the GUI related code will be added inside this build method. So we are going to remove this placeholder from from here and we are going to add a widget called scaffold. So scaffold is a widget in Flutter which is used to create basic structure of our screen. So when we add this scaffold widget or scaffold view, using it we can add an app bar on our screen, and then we can also add the body of our screen. So here, after adding this scaffold, if you will press Ctrl S, you can see now our screen turned white because the scaffold is being displayed here. So now in this scaffold we can add an app bar. So app bar is actually the top portion of our screen. So we can add it by adding this app bar class, and inside this app bar you can set the background color so that it will be visible. And to set it you can use this colors class. So colors dot, and we can add any color that we like. So for now let's use this blue color and press Ctrl S. So there you can see this app bar is added, and now in this app bar you can display any title or any icon that you like. So after adding this app bar, let's create the body of our screen or the main content. So here in the main content we need such widget where user can enter his question, and to add it we are going to add a body tag here, and then in the body tag we are going to add a column widget. So in Flutter, a column widget is used to arrange multiple widgets or views vertically on screen. So as the name suggests, it is just like the column of a table. So in a column we can place multiple items below one another. So in the same way, in a column widget we can place multiple widgets below one another. So in this column widget we are going to add a children's list, and here we can add multiple widgets. So firstly we need such widget where user can enter his text, and that widget is called a text field. So add a text field here, and now if you will press Ctrl S, you can notice that this view is added. So here in this view you can write your question. So there you can see the text that I have written is visible here. So now after adding this text field, we need a button so that user can press on that button and we can send the question of user to ChatGPT. But where we should add that button? And the answer is we should add that button to the right of this text field. So in order to place a view or a button to the right of this text field, we need to enclose it inside another widget called row. So row widget is used to arrange multiple widgets horizontally on screen. So it is also like the row of a table. So to enclose this text field inside a row widget, simply click on it and then press Alt plus Enter. And now select wrap with row, and there you can see the row widget is added. And now in this row widget, you need to firstly enclose this text field inside an expanded widget. Otherwise it will gonna show you an error. So you can simply click on this text field and press Alt plus Enter, and then select wrap with widget, and here you can change the name of this widget to expanded, and that's it. So now after this text field we want to add an icon or a button. So one widget in Flutter is called icon button, so we can simply add it. So there you can see this option. So now in this icon button you need to pass two things. The first thing is the method which will be executed when this button will be pressed. So for now we can pass an empty method here, and you can do it like this. After that you need to pass the icon which you want to display here. So we can pass an icon widget here, and inside this icon widget we can specify the icon using this icons class. So if you will write icons dot, you will be able to see a lot of icons here. So as we are looking for a send icon, so we can type send here and you will find all the send icons. So let's select this one and press Ctrl S. And there you can see the icon is visible to the right of our text field. So now after adding this text field and this icon, the third thing which we need is a text widget where we can display the result or response of ChatGPT. So we are going to add that text field above this row widget. And to do that, here in the column widget we are going to add a text widget. And in this text widget you can simply pass the text which you want to display. So let's say for now we want to display the text results to be shown here, so you can simply type it, and after that you need to add a comma and then press Ctrl S. So there you can see the text is visible here. So after adding the text here, we need to move this text field and this button to the bottom because this is the place where we have such fields inside applications. And to do that, you can simply expand this text widget so that it can take all available space. And to do that, you can click on this text widget and press Alt plus Enter and then select Wrap with Widget. And here you can select Expanded and then press Ctrl S. So now you can see the change is made and this bar and this icon is pushed to the bottom. So if you will click in the bottom, you will be able to see this bar. Similarly, the text is still in the top. So we want to display it in the center of screen. So you can simply wrap it inside a center widget. So select Wrap with Center and then press Ctrl S. So now you can see the text is in the center. So now after doing that, we have created a very simple GUI for our ChatGPT application. So user can type his question here and then he can click on the send button and we are going to send that question to ChatGPT and then we are going to display ChatGPT response here. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of my complete Build chatbots and assistant applications in Flutter with ChatGPT course. The complete course is around 4 hours long and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, I will put a link down below and we are offering a discount to first 50 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture. So after building the GUI of our application, we want to send user questions to ChatGPT models and get the response and display it to the user inside our application. And to do that, we need to understand the concepts of APIs. So what is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. So in simple words, it is a method using which two computer programs communicate with each other. So let's understand API with the help of an example. So suppose we want to build a weather application in which user will enter the name of a city and our application will gonna display the current weather of that city. So to build this application, we need weather data. And to get this data, we can either use a weather platform like OpenWeather app or we can collect this data by ourselves. So as we cannot collect the data of every city by ourselves, so we can use this weather platform which collects the data from all the cities. So now from our application, we are going to pass the name of city to this platform and this platform will gonna return us the detail or weather detail of that city. So there will be a communication between our application and this platform to achieve that. And this communication is possible because of APIs. So to achieve that, we are going to use the API provided by this platform. So in actual, from our application, we are going to hit a URL provided by this platform along with the city name. And hitting this URL is actually called making an API call. So when we say we are making an API call, then it means that we are hitting a URL from our application along with some data. And when that URL will be executed, the servers of that platform will gonna take the data from that URL and return the result based upon the URL. So when we are going to hit this URL, then the servers knows that they need to return the weather detail of this particular city. And once they are going to return the data, we can read it and display it to the user as per our needs. So this is the whole process of making an API call. So when we are using an API of a platform, we are basically hitting some URLs with instructions provided by that platform. And hitting those URLs will gonna provide the data inside our application which we can display to the user on screen. So now in our case, we are going to hit the API or the URL provided by OpenAI or ChatGPT along with user question. And this will gonna pass that question to ChatGPT models, and we will get the response of the model inside our application. And then we are going to display that response to the user on screen. And now let's look at components of API calls. And the first one is endpoint. So endpoint is actually the URL which we are hitting. So you can consider endpoint as a specific address where we are sending our request. So in case of our weather application, we are hitting this URL. So this first part of this URL is our endpoint, and it is indicating that we want to get current weather data. So when this endpoint will be executed, a specific function will be executed on server. And the next thing is parameter. So parameters are extra details which you add to your request to specify that which certain data you want to get. So in case of our weather application, we are passing this parameter with the name city, and the value of this parameter will be the name of city for which we want to get current weather data. So this part is the endpoint, and this part which is after this question mark is the parameter. And after parameters, the next thing is header. So headers are extra pieces of information which you include inside your request to tell the server about the data which you are sending. So in header, we usually pass a field called content type, and there we can specify the type of data or content we are sending. And then we usually pass an API key in the header, which is used by server to authenticate that whether we can access their API or not. And we are going to use these things inside our application. And the next thing is the body of our API request. So body is the part where we put the actual data which we want to send to the server. So let's say we are creating a new account by making an API call, and in that case we need to send the username and the email to the server. So we are going to include this information in the body of our API request, and our header will gonna indicate that what type of data we are including in the body of our API request. And the next thing is HTTP methods. So when we make API calls, then from our application we need to select a property called HTTP method. And after selecting this HTTP method, we make API calls. So these methods are actually verbs that tell the server what action you want to perform. So we can select 4 different HTTP methods, and they are get, post, put and delete. So here the first one is get. So it is used when we want to make an API call to get some data from the server. Like we are making an API call to get the weather data, so in that case we are going to use get HTTP method. And if we want to send some data to the server, then we use a method called post. So you can consider like creating a new account. So in that case we are going to send username and password or email address. So in that case we are going to use post method. And if you want to update something on the server, like changing user email address or username, then you use a method called put. So this is basically for updating data on server. And the final method is delete. So as the name suggests, it is used to delete some data from a server. Like if user want to delete a certain profile, then he will gonna use this delete method. So these are different components of API, and we are going to use them while making API calls inside our application. So now let's make an API call from our Flutter application. So in this application, when user will gonna type his question here and click on the send icon, we need to get the text which he entered here and pass it to ChatGPT model. And to do that, we need to make this API call. And in order to make this API call, we are going to use a package inside our Flutter application, and that is called HTTP. So this package is used to make API calls inside inside Flutter application. And to add it, you can open another tab, and here you can go to a site called pub.dev. So press enter and this website will be opened. So this is the official package repository for Dart and Flutter apps, and you will find all kind of Flutter related packages here. So the package which we are looking for is called HTTP, so simply enter it and there you can see the result. So this is the package which we are going to use, and for each package you can see this number of likes, pub points and popularity. So you can see the popularity and likes are greater for this package, so we are going to use it. So click on it and the home page is opened. So here we need to firstly install this package inside our Flutter application. So click on this installing button and then copy this dependency. After that, open our application and in pubspec.yaml file we are going to paste it. So in the dependencies section below this icon dependency, simply paste it and then click on this pubget so that the library will be downloaded and added inside our project. So there you can see the library is downloaded successfully and it is also added. So after adding the library, open the documentation page again and here you can see the import for this package. So in order to import this package, you can simply copy this line and then paste it inside our chat screen. So here inside chat screen.dart, simply add the import and that's it. So now after adding and importing this library, it's time to use it, and we are going to use this library once user will gonna click on this send icon. So here in the onPress method of this icon button we can write this code, but instead of directly writing the code here, we can create a method above and we can name this method like ask ChatGPT. And then we can create the body of this method, and finally we can call this method here. So call this ask ChatGPT method here. And that's it. So now when the user will gonna click on this icon, then this method will be executed, and inside this method we are going to make that API call, and to make this API call we are going to use this HTTP package. So if you will open the detail of API, you can see that we need to make a post request here. So in order to make this request, we are going to call a method named post, and you can notice that this method is present inside this HTTP library. So simply add this method, and inside it we need to pass the URL which we want to hit, the header and the body of our API request. So similar to this structure, we need to pass the URL first. So our URL is this one, so we can simply copy it and then we need to add it, but we are not going to directly put it, but instead we need to convert this URL into this URI format. So by using this URI.parse and then inside single quotation you can simply paste the URL. So now in this post method, after passing the URL, the second thing is passing the header. So you will find a header property here, so simply add it. For the header, add curly braces, and between them we need to pass this detail. So you can simply copy this content type and then you can add it here. After that, add a comma and then copy the second line from here. So I will gonna copy the second line and then we can simply paste it. And here after pasting the lines, you need to replace this double quotation with the single quotation, and then you need to also add this quotation here. Similarly at the start of this application JSON and at the end of it. Similarly replace that here. And that's it. So now here in this header we need to pass our API key. So inside our earlier lecture, when we created that key, you must have stored somewhere. So you need to copy that key and paste it here. And if you forget that, you can simply go to the dashboard page. So I will gonna open it inside a new tab. And then you can go to this API key section, and here you can create a new one. So let's create another one, so I can name it as test3. So there you can see the key is created, so I will gonna simply copy it and I will gonna replace this text with our API key. And later we are going to secure this key by not directly putting it inside our code, but for now we can simply place it. And now after this header, the third thing which we need to pass inside this post method is the body. So here you can add a comma, then type body, and you will see this body section. So here add curly braces to specify the body. So in the body we need to provide the detail which is mentioned here. So we need to provide the model and the messages list. So what you can do is to simply copy the content of this body starting from this model till the end of this messages list, and then you can place it inside the body of our code. So here I will gonna paste it like that, and now at the end you can add a semicolon and that's it. So right now in the body we are specifying that we want to use this GPT-4o model, and then in the messages list we are specifying the first message which is for specifying the role. So the second message should contain the text which user entered here, but for now we are only passing hello here. But now in order to pass the text which user entered in the text field, we need to create a text editing controller and attach it with this text field. And after that, by using that controller, we will be able to get the text which user entered here. So to do that, you can simply create a text editing controller here, and we can name it as input con and then call its constructor. And now we are going to attach this controller with our text field. So here we are going to set the controller property, and we can pass input con here. And then inside this ask ChatGPT we can replace this hello with the text which user entered here. And to access it you can remove these quotations, and then you can use this input con dot text, and it will gonna return the text which user entered here. So now inside our application, when user will gonna type his question here in this text field, and he will gonna click on this send button, this ask ChatGPT method will be executed, and inside it we are going to make this API call. And while making this API call, we are going to hit this URL and pass this information in the header and this information in the body. So once this API call will be made, we will get the response, and that response will be in this particular format. So after making the API call, the next thing is getting the response which API will gonna return and show it to the user on screen. And to do that, we are going to create a new variable and store the result inside it. So before this post method, we can create a new variable and we can name it as response. And after that, we can assign the result of this post method to this variable. So now when this method will be executed, the response will be stored inside this response variable. And as inside this method we are making an API call, so this thing will gonna take some time. So here we need to add an await keyword. So it means that when this method will be executed, we are going to wait until the execution is completed. And once the execution is completed, the response will be stored inside this variable. And when we use this await keyword, we need to make this method asynchronous. So there you can see the keyword is added and the error is gone. So now it means that this method will be executed asynchronously, and other operations of our application are not blocked when this method will be executed. So here inside this method, after getting the response, it's time to check that whether our API call was successful or not. And we can check that using this response variable. So this response variable has a property called status code, and we can use it inside this if condition to check that if this status code is 200, then it means that the API call was successful. So in that case, in this if condition, you can write the code for getting the result and showing it to the user. And if the status code is not 200, then inside this else block you can write the code to inform user about the error. But now let's consider that the status code is 200, so in that case inside this if condition we are firstly going to get the response in the form of JSON, and to get it you can use this JSON decode method, and inside this method we are going to use the response object and then its body. So this response.body will gonna return the content of response, and this JSON decode will gonna convert that response into a JSON format, and we can assign the result to like a new variable and we can name it as JSON data. And that's it. So now here we got the response in the form of JSON, and the next thing is getting the answer which ChatGPT returned. So here you can see that the answer is present inside this JSON object at this particular location. So firstly we need to access the choices array, and in this array we got a message object which contains this content property. So to access it we need to specify the complete path, and we will specify the path using this JSON data. So inside this JSON data there is an array called choices, so specify the name of this array. After that in this choices array we are going to access the first element, so we are going to specify the index here. So it will gonna specify that we are accessing first element of this array. After that we want to access a message object, so here specify the name message. And then in this message object there is a property called content, so we are going to specify content here. So now this thing will gonna return the answer which ChatGPT returned. So there you can see we are accessing choices array, and in this array we are accessing message object and then this content property. And now after accessing this content we are going to store it inside a new variable, and we can name this variable like result text, and we are going to create this variable above. So outside of this ask ChatGPT, let's create a new variable and we can name it as result text, and we are going to store an empty string inside it. So now inside this result text the answer of ChatGPT will be stored, and to display this answer to the user on screen we are going to use this result text inside this text widget. So here we can remove the text which is already there, so let's cut it for now, and then we are going to pass result text here, and we are going to paste the text which we just cut here while initializing this result text. So now the initial value of this result text will be results to be shown here, and once our API call will be made and the result will be returned, it will gonna store the answer of ChatGPT. So as the value of this variable is visible or being displayed inside this text widget, so user will be able to see the result on screen. But here we need to do one final thing, and then the result will be visible, and that is we need to call a set state block and pass this result text inside it. So result text, and that's it. And we have done that because when the API call will be made and the result will be returned, then we need to inform our GUI that the value of this result text is updated, and we need to update the GUI. And this thing is done using this set state block. So when the set state block is executed, then it means that wherever inside our GUI this variable is being used, the changes will apply. So now after writing the code we need to do one final thing, and then we can test our application, and that is we need to enclose the body of our API request inside a method called JSON encode. So this method will actually going to convert this object into JSON string. So just like here, after getting the response we are calling JSON decode, and it is converting the response returned by the model into a JSON object. So we need to do a similar thing here, but here we are actually passing an object and we need to convert it into JSON string. So here we are going to call this JSON encode function, and then inside this function we can simply cut this block and add it. and that's it. So now after doing that, you can simply install your application inside the simulator again and test the working of our simple ChatGPT application. So as we have added a new library inside our project, so it's better to click on this top main.dart and then install the application again so that all the changes will take place inside our emulator. So now our application is installed again, so let's test it. So here we are going to type our prompt. So let's start with a very simple hello, and then let's send this prompt. And there you can see the text in the middle of screen is changed to hello, how I can assist you today. So it means that we have successfully passed our question or query to ChatGPT, and then we got the result from ChatGPT model and displayed it inside our application screen. Similarly, you can type any other prompt here, like I can ask, tell me something about London. And then let's click on the send icon. And there you can see we got a lot of text on screen. So it is starting with London is the capital city of United Kingdom and so on. Similarly, you can ask any query or question here and you will be able to get answer from ChatGPT here. So now after testing our application, let's work on the GUI of this application. And after improving the GUI, we are going to explore the API of OpenAI further. So we are going to start by improving the look of this bottom bar where user can type his message and then click on this send icon. So to work on it, let's firstly simply click on this run main.dart so we will get the first look of our application. So there you can see this is the first look of our application. So now in order to improve this bar, you can simply go to your build method and there you can see this bar and icon is present inside this row widget. And now to improve their look, what we can do is to firstly enclose this row widget inside another widget called card. So click on this row widget and press Alt plus enter and then select wrap with widget. And the widget which we are going to add is a card widget. So card widget is an amazing widget in Flutter which can add a shadow and border to its children's. So here after enclosing it, if I will press Ctrl S, you can notice a change here. So basically a rounded background or shadow is added behind this bar and this icon. And to look at it closely, we can simply set the margin for this card. So you will find this margin property here, and to set it you can use edge insets and then we can select all. So it means that we want to add a margin on all sides. So let's add a margin of 10 for now and press Ctrl S. So now you can see the margin is added. So it means that a space is added to the left, right, top and bottom of this card widget. And that's why you can see that the card widget is now lifted. So if I zoom in a little, you can see the card widget here clearly. So you can notice that it got rounded corners and it also got a shadow. So now you can notice that a line is also visible in this card widget, and that is because of this text field. So if you want to hide this line, then in this text field you can set a decoration property, and to set its value you can use input decoration class, and inside it we can set the border property. So here we are going to select input border and the value which we are going to select will be none. So now after doing that, if you will press Ctrl S, you can notice that the line is gone and this bar is looking much better. So now after adding the code, if you want to format it, you can simply right click anywhere and then select reformat code with dot format. And by doing that, it will gonna format our code and we can see it clearly. So now after adding the card widget and removing the line, let's change the color of this card a little. So right now it is not completely white, so let's make it white. And to do that, in this card widget we can set the color property, and the color which we are going to select is white. So colors.white and press Ctrl S, and there you can see the white color is added and it is looking much better. Similarly, if you want to increase the radius of this bar or make it more circular, you can do that by setting a shape property of card widget. So here we can set the shape to like rounded rectangle border, and inside it we can specify the border radius. So border radius, and to specify its value we can use border radius class. And then we can apply a radius on a single side or on all sides. So we are going to select all, and then to specify the value of this radius we need to use a radius class. So radius dot circular, and then you can specify your radius value. So let's say we are going to apply 20 and press Ctrl S. You can notice that now it is more rounded. Similarly, if I will increase it to like 30 and press Ctrl S again, you can see that the radius is increased. So now after doing that, we can do one more thing, and that is we can display some hint text here inside this text field. So here to set that hint inside this input decoration, we can add a hint text property. So you can see it here, and then you can specify the text here. Like I can say type here, and then we can add 3 dots. After that, press Ctrl S. And there you can see the hint is added here. But you can notice that this hint is too attached with the left corner. So to add some spacing here, what we can do is to enclose this text field inside a padding widget. So here if you will select this text field and press Alt plus Enter, you will see this wrap with padding. So simply wrap it, and there you can see a default padding is added. And if you will press Ctrl S, you can notice that the size of the bar is increased because on all sides of the text field a padding is added. But as we don't want to add padding on all the sides, we only want to add it to the left side. So here instead of this all method, we can call this only method. And then we can set the padding for the left side only by specifying left here. So here we are adding a left padding of 8. So let's increase this value and add a padding of like 15 and press Ctrl S. So now you can see a spacing is added only to the left side, and this bar is collectively looking much better. So now after working on this bar, we can do one final thing, and then we can test our application. And that is, as soon as user will gonna type his question and click on the send icon, we can remove the text which he entered here. So it will gonna indicate that our question is sent. And to do that, here inside our ask ChatGPT method, we can reset the value of our text field, and we can do that after making this API call. So here we can use our input con, and we can set its text property, and the value which we are going to set is empty string. So now by doing that, the text which user have written here will be removed and it will be replaced with an empty string. So now to test all the changes, you can simply click on this run main.dart, and then we can test our application. So now our application is refreshed. So let's simply type a simple prompt. So I will gonna type hello, and then click on this send icon. So there you can see as soon as the API call made, the text here disappeared, and the hint here is also looking much better. Similarly, you can notice the response of ChatGPT here. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of my complete Build Chatbots and Assistant Applications in Flutter with ChatGPT course. The complete course is around 4 hours long, and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, I will put a link down below, and we are offering a discount to first 50 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture.